Hey everybody, welcome to, what is this, episode 9 of What Have I Done Debates. Oh my god, Mark, when we started this, did you think we would be at 9 episodes?
I did not.
Yeah, I never thought we would make it this far either. I thought this would be a one-off. I didn't realize we could keep going, but it turns out there are a million things to argue about. Speaking of things to argue about, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, and no offense to the person in the metaphorical room we're in. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
Hi, I am the elephant. My name is Charles.
Alright, I don't know. The elephant kind of goes hard, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be more relevant as we go through it. But I think if you don't mind, we're just gonna have to talk about things that happened in the last episode, which I don't think you'll be able to commentate on very much, but we'll try to include you.
Okay, bring it on.
All right, so for this show, I don't know how much you know about this show or what our procedures are for various things, but we basically have 3 to 5 arguments, and we plead our case for them, and then we have people vote on them in the description. Of course, it's very modestly judged, but we still get enough responses to determine a winner. So I'll just go through these, and yeah. So here's what we'll do. I'll go through these, and you guess which one won. All right? Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So for the first question of last week's episode, we had, who is the best McDonald's mascot? And it was between Grimace and Mayor McCheese. Who do you think won this one?
Oh, definitely Grimace.
That's what I'm saying.
You would be sorely mistaken, because Mayor McCheese won by 1 vote.
Kidding me? That's the most ridiculous.
Well, you know what? Mayor McCheese is a dedicated political servant. Here's the thing. The one Mark argues for usually loses because he doesn't do a very good job.
Oh, he didn't back up his data?
No, and also he lost, like, every counterpoint I made, he couldn't come up with something. So this one is a little bit more cryptic. I don't know if how big of a fan are you of daily comic strips and newspapers?
It's been a minute, but I mean.
Okay, well, then you might not know this classic Scott Adams gem. But when pushed with the decision of watching people die or killing your own son, what do you think people chose?
Killing their own son.
Well, you know what? You'd also be wrong, because only one person thought that killing your own son was preferable to watching people die.
Oh, man.
All right. Here's another good one. What are the best things about religion? It comes down to community and a sense of purpose in life. Which one would you think is the more important one?
Oh, God. I feel like it's gonna be community.
You know what? I thought that sense of purpose in life was honestly the better option, but community did win that one.
Wait, which one did I argue?
You argued for sense of purpose in life, which I even admitted on the show was a better... I said it was a better option, and people still voted for me. And then the last...
This is just a running joke now.
The last question, who likes Abram the most, was a wash. I win because I wrote him a love poem. So I won every single one of those for everybody who is for all the astute listeners in the audience. That's another episode that is no Mark wins. I don't remember what the episode before that was. Oh wait, no, I don't think anybody voted in the episode before that.
Yeah, no. You got like 3 votes.
Mark, you're pretty hard up for a win. Speaking of wins, we have a voicemail that we use sometimes, and actually just today I got a voicemail, and I just want to say, whoever left it, thank you very much. The only problem was that it was 37 seconds of silence, so if you're welcome to call and you're welcome to try again. I really appreciate it, but there's just nothing we can really do with it for now. I've got my top audio transcribers on it, listening for any sound of life, but it's coming up blank, and it's just unfortunate, because I'm sure there was something really interesting that was going to be said. All right, so what else? We got. This show gets progressively more top-heavy as I come up with more and more things to do. And we've got one more segment before we actually get into the main show. It's our long-running legacy segment. You know it, you love it. It's Cash Watch, baby. I've got a segment introducer that I made over the weekend that I'll probably splice in at that point if I remember. Cash Watch, for those of you who are unaware, and for our studio audience who probably doesn't know what Cash Watch is. Do you know what Cash Watch is, Charles?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, so I think you're gonna like this. So on February 5th at 12:05 a.m. approximately, our dearly beloved principal Stephen P. Cashman was pulled over by law enforcement authorities because they suspected him of drunk driving. Unfortunately, approximately 45 minutes later, he was placed under arrest for said DUI charge and has not been at school since. So, the question remains, where is he? And this weekly segment, we try to figure out where Stephen Cashman is. And this week we have a little bit of an update, because I actually did some journalism and tried to get some information on where he was. I ended up emailing the Right to Know, head of the Right to Know department in the Plumstead Police Department, because I was trying to get the information. I specifically wanted the body cam footage, but the form, it said that I would receive files, which, I'm not files, I mean paper. And I'm like, well, that's not a video file. So I ended up emailing the head and I was like, is there a different form I need to fill out for body cam footage? And she gave me a number to call, for which when I called it, so I ended up talking to somebody on the line, and they were kind enough to ask their supervisor about it, and about 5 minutes later they called me back and they said they could not release the body cam footage because it was an ongoing criminal investigation. So unfortunately, the highly coveted Dr. Cashman arrest video is not going to be available for quite some time. I tried my hardest to cop it, but in the end, it's too sensitive. It's too hot for anyone else. Maybe I'll become a corrupt cop and I'll swipe it, but that's not till next week of Cash Watch.
Jesus Christ.
So. Maybe for
Yeah.
next week's segment, I'll email him. I'll reach out to him, see if he wants to get on the show. I honestly think that there is a good chance that he might just come on the show just to clear his name.
No, he won't.
He might. It's possible. We should get Mr. Hughes on, though. He would be a great principal guest. Did you see that he had to break up a fight today?
What? The one in the cafeteria?
Yeah.
I didn't see the fight, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. But no, poor guy. He's a political servant. He's dedicated.
He is good at his job.
He will serve in that position from the cradle to the grave. You guys get that one? You catch that one? That was pretty clever. Yeah. Because that's our transition into the main topic. It only took us, about 10 minutes? We are tackling the question of all questions. The one that has been rattling around in even the earliest person's mind. The first thought Adam had was, where is Eve? And then his second thought is, well, what happens when I die? We're finally going to answer that for everybody. What happens when you die? So, Charles, you are the special guest, and you said that a DEATHCAST would be interesting, so we have procured at 4 death-based topics, I think, from what I'm looking at here. So, why don't you go first? What happens after you die?
God, you're already hitting with the heaviest question, too. And I want to point
out... Well, that's the attention grabber.
You'd be astonished of how much research I've done for this. It has been all...
Yeah, first let's go through your credentials. What are your credentials of death?
I was a college dropout of psychology. I went in and
That's further than either of us.
Not doing any of this shit. And then they did ask me for a project, and the first thing I chose was human euthanasia. I think it's one of the most interesting topics that we don't talk enough about, because
I'm pro euthanasia.
Yeah, absolutely. If you
I
want
think
to
we should euthanize
yourself,
Mark if he loses.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like how many of these debates can you lose before we just put you down for the sake
I'm really starting to think. I'm really starting to wonder.
But also please don't kill him.
I don't know.
Not yet.
It's the easiest way to get a new co-host.
Yeah, there's always hope.
Yeah, I mean, my co-host insurance. I can't get a new one unless it's an accident.
But so I think death's been one of the most interesting things. I've grown up around a lot of my life with at least an average of 20-some pets in my parents' house now, but back when I lived there in my house. So death was like a constant. You'd be like, oh, you lost that one today. So it's one of those kind of things where you get used to it. And after dealing with it for so long, it becomes 20 times less scary.
I guess that's true. But it is something that we all have to deal with.
Yep. It's one of the only guarantees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just this February 5th, I had to experience the death of my innocence when I realized that Dr. Cashman was arrested for a DUI.
Not as horrible as the death of his
So,
liver,
yeah,
I'd imagine.
the world is a cruel place, Milah.
Yeah.
What happens after you die? I don't know. I bounce around between some of them being like so much fun, and then there's your simple. Well, nothing happens. You get sucked into the
which
earth.
I'm sure is Mark's answer.
Yeah, you get sucked into the earth, and then you feed other things, and then they poop you out, and it just goes in a cycle, and it's horrible. I think that's boring. I don't know. Sometimes I'll bounce between the idea of like, reincarnation sounds great, and then I mean, I think that's the easiest one and the most fascinating. But then, I think you come out in that scenario, you come out crying because you realize you have to do all of this all over again.
Yeah, how many Groundhog Days until Bill Murray decided to kill himself?
Exactly. And I think that's what 90% of that is. You come out, you're like, oh my god, again? School again? I don't know about you guys,
Oh,
but...
I feel I've been there before.
Yep, and I'd imagine puberty still hurts just as much as it did for me.
Oh, of course. They haven't figured out any modern medicine for that one.
Yep, or even how to just, talk to you and
For real.
help you. But and then there's the fun ones like the idea of maybe like God just if there is a God, creates this intensely complex system and then just went, all right, let's see what happens. And then we'll never
is
talk
true.
to us ever again.
That makes the most sense, right? That God did all this stuff 2,000 years ago and then kind of forgot about us.
Yep. I mean, I feel like that's far more plausible than the idea of like if gays make out, they're going to hell or something. I think.
Oh, I mean, but that's gross, though. God doesn't make anything gross.
Yeah, right. Why would they do that? Oh, I forgot. Sorry, in that story, it's a he. Why would he do that?
Yeah, that's true, though. But God is definitely a man.
Yeah, right.
I
Clearly,
think that's canon.
yeah.
Mark,
Yeah,
didn't you definitively prove whether or not God exists today?
Yes, I did this funny thing called quantum dice. So, Charles, I'm a nerd, computer nerd specifically. So,
Makes great conversation.
IBM has this thing where you can use a quantum computer. So me and Milah devised an
Would you mind
experiment.
explaining what a quantum computer is, but in real basic terms?
That's not possible.
Okay, well then just call it a quantum computer.
So basically, me and Milah came up with truly random dice that supposedly God could affect. Basically,
You're already stacking the dice by saying supposedly. God would affect it if he was real.
yeah, so God would affect it if it was real. So Milah basically said a prayer during English and said, God, if you're real, make the computer output this number by making the particles always go that way. So if I were to pull up the results here, I would see, oh golly gee, the result was not 3.
Okay, but what number was it?
I think it was like 6 or something.
Okay, so that actually means God is double real, because 6 is 2 times 3.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
All right, Mark, while you're signing in,
Yeah.
let's think about this for real quick. If there was such a God, do you think he really is just granting menial requests like rolling dice?
Oh, the number was 0.
Oh, okay, well then I guess it is. I guess there's a 0% chance of a God. Well, thanks, science, for ruining everything fun. First the moon landing, then God.
Did you at least do like a mic drop when you figured it out, like mid-class?
No,
Oh no, it took
there was a
forever.
cue, and he texted me like 2 hours ago, like, God isn't real.
That was
and
when it
sent me a
finished. I
screenshot.
did it. I sent the job into the actual quantum computer during second period, and then I got it back like 2 hours after school.
But believe me, I reacted how I imagine somebody who is hearing about 9/11 reacted. I dropped my phone, I ran to the TV to see if they were talking about it, and I was calling all of my loved ones. I was like, Mom, I was trying to get Mom on the phone, but she was busy talking to too many other people because I guess they had heard about it too. It was a huge ordeal. And you know what? In that moment, I did consider death because I realized that there was no point. But the real question was, what happens after you die? And that's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it, because I was too scared. I needed to listen to this first to realize if it's worth it. Is death even worth it? So I need to know what happens after you die.
Is it my turn?
No, because Charles ever actually said what happened after you die.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it would actually probably help if if I answered questions. Oh my God, is this your worst special guest ever? It might be.
No, because we had fun. Mark is actually my worst special guest.
Okay, you know what? You didn't need to be like that.
Mark, I love you. Don't worry.
I will not contribute to the gaslighting any longer. No, anyway, let me see. What does happen after you die? Well, let's see. I guess we should talk about that too. What do you mean, like physically, or are we talking about like, do you have a spirit, or do we
I
Yeah,
talk?
like
mean, either's fine.
what do you
Yeah,
experience
what do you
after you die?
experience? I think that's more interesting.
Um, I mean, I feel like there's definitely. I feel like I'd imagine there's probably this intense rush of everything you've ever felt, an intense sensation towards the end. I guess
Like a
is
light
what you.
flashing before your eyes.
Yeah, I think that's our brain's way, in my mind, and keep in mind there's no scientific. Well, actually, I don't think there's any. I don't even think I'm at a point where I could be considered unqualified because I don't think anybody's actually qualified to discuss that. But
What about near-death experiences? What about those 4-year-olds that
yeah,
they write books about?
yeah, or the ones who say that they saw God at a fence and they went, "I'm ready," and he went, "Go home," and then woke him up
Yeah,
or
he's like,
something.
I'm not
Yeah,
ready yet.
yeah. I think a lot of that actually, I that's my influ or my thought process is a lot of that spawns from or spawned religions is this idea of you almost died from doing something stupid and your brain can only function in a way like something like that's probably so high level in terms of you seeing something that your brain just kind of like what's the word almost makes it like a metaphor, I
Like a
guess.
learning experience.
Yeah, and then your brain just goes, I don't really know what I saw because I don't understand it, so we're just going to make it this dude and it's God or something because your brain can't handle the fact that maybe you're just disappearing to nothing and there's no
Yeah,
way to really latch.
I find it really sad the people that like that something like that where it's like, God told me. It's like do you like it's just like it seems like they just don't even have like they don't have enough confidence in themselves. Like somebody came with some common sense and they're like, "Well, that's just too smart. It couldn't be me saying that I shouldn't have like jumped down from that large height. It must have been some higher figure who has that knowledge, not me." It's just like
Yep.
some people, it's just like seems like they just don't even understand, like they don't respect the voice in their head. They're like, oh, that must be somebody else because it's giving me good advice. That can't be me. It has to be some genius.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said for like I mean this boils over into other things like relationships and stuff, but there's a lot to be said for your gut feelings and I think a lot of people tend to ignore it because they think they operate in some logic that that your intuition actually isn't as smart as it says it is. And 90% of the time, I will tell you right now, as you go on in the future, if you feel like something's odd, it's because you're smart enough to recognize that it's odd.
Yeah,
And I think
I
the same
agree.
thing
I agree.
applies. Yeah, the same thing applies to death. Is like maybe we don't understand it and we'll never understand it, but that's a scare that should people consider that like a very scary thought. And yeah, it is. It's very creepy to think of the idea of let's say it's nothing, you shut your eyes and you're seeing this blackness and then your brain can't even like fathom that it's blackness anymore. It can't even fathom that it's
hmm
dark or that your eyes are closed. That is a terrifying thought, but why does that have to be necessarily terrifying because it is so natural that
Yeah,
you
no,
have this
yeah, I
feeling.
get that because it's like people like they're scared of death, but then it's like 65% of the time they're just like sitting on their phone, like scrolling through Instagram. It's like if you're really scared of the inevitable march of time, like do something. It's like you kind of just take a step back and you realize that like time doesn't really matter because like there's so much nothing that you're doing. Like if time really was like if really was a precious resource, you'd be using it more.
Absolutely. And we all three of us here, and probably most of the people listening to this, grow up in a very capitalistic society that's trying to put a price on time. So the
Shout out
idea,
to all my new North Korean viewers. You guys have it
yep,
real easy.
yeah, God, yeah, tell us what it's like on the other side here. But yeah, it's like, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, well, it's the whole concept of you can't have wasted your time because God forbid nothing happens in a span of time in a society like this where you need to be paid, or the entire purpose of you going to school was a better job. And that
hmm
might have worked in the 1940s, but like that's actually not how we work because you're not going to get a better spot in the factory if you graduate high school or if you get a college degree. You're not. It's just at the end of the day, it's shifting now into just honestly do whatever you want because there's going to be a way for you to make money. And on top of that, it's like why does any of this have to be a waste of time? Even if
hmm
it ends in nothing, this is not a waste of time. You exist in this window, this like beginning, middle, end. That's you. You have this timeline. There's nothing
Yeah,
to be upset about.
Yeah, if you didn't enjoy doing it, then like that's when you realize it's a waste of time. You know, you work really hard on something and it doesn't pan out and you feel bad, that's because it was a waste of time. If you do something that you really enjoy and it fails, like then and you won't feel bad afterwards. Like this show doesn't get like a bazillion views, but when I'm done, it doesn't make me like frustrated. I'm like I had fun and I'm excited to do it again.
Absolutely. And I think, like, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, in a nutshell, you just summed it up there perfectly. That's the whole thing. If you're, at the end of the day, if you're having fun with this, then 6, 7 listeners or 7,000 listeners, it does not matter. It truly does not.
Well, I guess that's a really roundabout way to answer what happens after you die. I guess what I put down is that it doesn't. It's such an abstruse question that the answer doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Well then, good answer,
Alright.
Mark.
All
What
right,
happens after
so
you die?
y'all have been
I'm
talking
really
about
excited
life.
for your answer.
Y'all have been talking about life too much. You haven't been talking about death. So,
Well, you mastering, right?
huh?
You mastering that, right?
Master in what?
As somebody who lives on the brink.
Shut up.
Do you want to tell us about the time when you thought you were gonna die in like a couple months? How'd you live that
Twice.
time? Twice. Yes, please enliven the audience, and then maybe use that experience to let us in a little bit.
Basically, lungs go boom was the idea, and then lungs did not go boom, but now lungs still hurt. Well, not hurt. They just feel weird. So basically, during that time, I was just basically trying to prepare. I mean, that's not really something you can prepare for, but
How did you really think? Like, did you really think in your heart of hearts that you were gonna die?
I was trying to expect the worst, hope for the best.
So I just like I've never been in a near-death experience. Charles, what's the closest you've ever been to death?
Man. No, there were a couple, like, nothing that intensely close. There were a couple times where, a couple more inches, you're like, oh yeah, that would have been the end right there.
But there's never
yeah,
been a time when you you literally
Yeah.
felt like you had to accept death.
Yeah, there was no, like, come to Jesus moment, or, yeah, I mean, for an atheist, it's not the right thing to say, but, I mean,
Come to science,
yeah, like, or, I guess, I went skydiving, so you'd think that would be fun, and everyone tells you it is, and then you drop out of the plane, and you're like, oh no, this is pure death at 125 miles an hour, I don't like this. But yeah,
Is that
so
what
that's
it's like?
the closest. It depends. I get why people like it, and I can understand why people would want to do it again. But when I did it, the second I dropped, I was like, oh no, screw this. I don't like this at all. Some dude's trying to high five you. You're like, dude, can you get out of my face? Like, I'm about to die.
Good to know.
Yeah, so Mark,
I want to
please,
do skydiving.
please tell us
real
about
bad.
your death.
Okay, so yeah, basically, it's not really something you prepare for. It's just kind of something is coming. This is really hard to explain.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Basically, well, at least in my brain, I knew it was coming. I expected it to come. So I did spend a lot of time thinking, like, okay, what do I want to do? For some reason, my first thought was to make a chatbot of myself with Ben's.
Yeah, I remember that. You're the what was it called? The I Live On bot or something?
Yeah.
Dude, that was really grim.
Then we still have the code for that, actually. It's like half done. But basically, it's not something you really prepare for. It's something you expect. So you're kind of what you're marching towards, and it is grim. But at the same time, when you know it's coming, I'm not going to say you accept it, but you get used to it. You get used to like the feeling of it coming on.
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, I've definitely heard a lot of conversations about that. Like, people get so used to it that it kind of becomes.
Yeah, you
I
kind of get
mean,
desensitized to it.
Yeah, it's like a new. I don't know. This trivializes it, which sucks because that's not what I'm trying to do. But like, like new stressful situations, like even school or when you were a baby, breathing and blinking at one point was a high stress. Now you don't even think.
Oh man,
about
breathing and blinking is still a high stress for me. Believe me.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. That's true. There's a couple mushroom trips where you're like, you have to remind yourself to do it, and that's even worse. Do not recommend.
Well, I would never.
Yeah, no, not especially not when your mom's listening.
Even if my mom wasn't listening, I wouldn't do mushrooms. They're scary.
I like them personally, but I do get it. I totally 100% understand. I can respect the fear.
Yeah, I'm especially afraid of acid. Like speaking of death, it seems like a lot of the trip reports I've read from like people on acid, it seems like they usually like think and wind up thinking they're dead and spending like the last 6 hours just like accepting their own death because they think they're dead, and that just sounds awful.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I haven't been on acid or anything, but
Yeah, but
that's
you've had to accept that.
that sounded very familiar to me.
I think.
You kind of just think about it. You swear I don't. It's hard to explain because you.
I mean,
don't
I
come
get
to
scared
terms
enough
with it.
thinking about my own mortality, and that's not for like a long time. Like I can't imagine if it was like, maybe in a month or two.
Yeah, it's not something you accept for sure, but it's something you still not ready for, but you just know it's coming. It's just a very odd feeling.
It is this one thing. It's odd. I didn't even recognize, of course, having the DEATHCAST and then talking about my sister real quick. She does like estate law and stuff like that, so she's doing wills and things like that. So she has tons of death anxiety because she's talking to these old people, and then she's thinking about our parents, and then she's like, oh, they're gonna die someday, and this is the conversations they should be having, and they're not. And it turns into this whole cycle of emotional violence and stuff. But death anxiety is a real thing, and it's always interesting to watch it because sometimes you're not even necessarily afraid for other people or afraid for yourself even. It's just a reminder that you're going to die, and it's something that you always kind of, it's like having the most horrifying monster over your shoulder at any time. At any point you could turn around and go, oh shit, it's there, but you wouldn't necessarily, you get so used to it that you don't even look over your shoulder anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I'm talking about life too much again. What happens after you die?
Sorry.
So I think so. Have you both like ever passed out or like been like sedated before?
Oh yeah.
Nope. Full
L.
conscious, baby.
Okay, so I think it's kind of like when you wake up from being sedated and you kind of just don't remember anything in between.
Oh yeah.
I think it's really hard to grasp this, but I think it's just that. I think it's just into nothing. It's just all brain activity ceases. There's no afterlife. You don't experience anything.
Wow. That sounds scary.
Shift into nothing,
Yeah.
which you can't even comprehend because it's nothing.
Right.
So what do you think like the last like seconds of life are?
I think it's like a really sped up version of what I went through for like 3 months.
Do you think
I'm not. I mean, I don't know.
so that's just it? And then it just ends and then you forget everything because you can't remember anything?
You don't have. Yeah, you don't remember anything because you don't experience.
So what happens to
anything.
your consciousness?
I think that's okay. Humans call themselves a lot more just because they are. That made no
Yeah.
sense. So
We
basically,
sure are a lot more.
So humans, we think we are above other things because we have the mental capacity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So someone one day said, "Yeah, I think this is how it works," and other people said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" But at the end of the day, are we really different than like a speck of dirt, just different
Yes.
atoms?
No, I definitely, yeah, right, we are.
Okay,
really
come
just
on, you gotta give props to us. We're at least better than dirt. Come on.
No,
We're
all
Maybe like a
basically the-
monkey. Maybe the drop off point's like a monkey, but like come on,
like sure, we're more complex, but that
are-
doesn't make us actually alive. We chose the term alive for ourselves.
well,
we
no,
are.
but there are like 6 basic principles of being alive. I made a short YouTube
That we
video
made
about
up.
that.
Who's to say we
Yeah,
get to
but
make that up?
Damn, you got me. Okay.
Before that, we were just atoms.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we are the culmination of a bunch of stars that smashed well, not stars, I'm sorry, a bunch of rocks that smashed together, and then that dust
Yeah, but
started
we're
moving around.
conscious now.
Yeah, but who knew that would happen from what happened?
Well, God
Billions
did,
of years ago.
obviously.
Yeah, clearly. He came in and was like, oh, I'm fixing this.
Mm-hmm.
He did that for the specific purpose of having us pay taxes.
Yeah. Well, actually, he did it so that way he could tempt people who had never known what sin was into basically baiting them into living in
Yep.
suffering for all eternity.
Yeah, that's very true. He's like, what if he
Yeah, that's what I
what
would
if
do
he
if I was a
killed your
god.
son?
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
it's
just
like
like, go kill your son. Oh wait, no, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
I'm just kidding. Wow, you're so good. I'm glad you didn't do it. Oh, you didn't want to begin with? Well, you're still good.
Yeah, and then one guy is like, "Hey, Satan, guess what? I can be a dick to this guy, and he'll still love me." Yeah, God warned us about abusive relationships when he didn't even listen.
Yep, no, never.
But yeah, I think it's kind of like making a medal for first prize and breathing and then giving it to yourself.
Yep.
It's just something you do.
Yeah, I'm not some babies. You ever hear of sudden infant death syndrome?
Okay.
Those guys didn't get any gold medals.
I mean, if you're talking about a race to the finish.
Well, you know what? You got me there. But here's the thing. Under my understanding of what happens after you die, there really is no. At the finish line, everyone ties for first. And this is why. There's this little thing called Seventh-day Adventism that under the careful watch of my mother, I was able to learn quite a fair bit about it. Not by my own wanting to. I was not very happy about this, but I think overall it was for the best because now I think I know everything I need to know about what happens after you die. I was taught from a very learned man about the good book. They call it good for a reason because it's true. And after you die, you enter what is basically an eternal slumber, right? Once you die, you go to sleep in the coffin or the urn, wherever you are, and you wait until Jesus comes back. This is called the rapture. And when Jesus comes back, all of these good souls will come back, and all the bad souls will be cast into a lake of fire, and then Jesus will come and kill Satan like he promised to do, and Earth will turn back into the Garden of Eden, and we'll all get to live there, and it'll be great, provided you're a believer, of course.
Yeah, that sounds
Dope.
like an interesting way to go.
Yeah, and no, the craziest thing is that, like, that is actually what Seventh-day Adventists believe. Not only that, but they believe that it's called the Seventh-day Adventists because on the 8th day, Jesus comes back. And I mean that literally. Every week is when Jesus is supposed to come back. I swear, every Bible lesson was like, they would like find an article that's like, top 10 reasons that the rapture is coming sooner than you might think. And it's just, I mean... the craziest thing is that it's true. Like every week, like somebody pops like some toast that kind of looks like God or something. It's just like it's getting harder and harder to ignore. Like how many more biblical toasts do we need until we kind of start realizing and getting our act together?
I hope he comes down. I want God to see like what we did to the planet and just be like, dude, what the hell? Like I didn't allow any of that.
I kind of imagine that like. If Jesus came back, like, it's like everything's so polarized, but I think, honestly, like, everyone would just universally hate him. Like, the left would hate him for a completely different reason than the right would, but they would just both hate him equally as much, and he would, like 30 years is gonna look like, it's gonna look like, longevity. It's gonna look embarrassing, like, we're gonna kill him, like, straight out of in the cradle. Just, like, ether him.
Yep, he'll come down and tell the Republicans how to do stuff, and they'll be like, "Dude, nah, make Jesus Jesus again, not this Jesus, another Jesus."
Oh my God!
You
know what? The
care
thing is,
of people.
yeah, the Republicans are going to be scared when they realize that gay marriage is okay, and the Democrats are going to be scared when they find out he was white all along.
Oh yeah. So sorry, this is a bit off track, but this is just something I remembered. So Charles, you said you will not do believe, but
You said
could
you're a
possibly,
serial killer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said you could possibly believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, I think. Again, it's one of those things. I think it's. I know you're going to get to another point, so I'll say, I think it's one of those things where I feel like it would be more about the transfer of your energy, not necessarily that you be conscious of that, but the ground absorbs you. That is a form of reincarnation. Is your body being used for something else? But
That is so true.
It is interesting to think about the idea of your consciousness snapping out of existence, and then you snap back into consciousness, and you're a person again. But sorry, yeah, keep going.
So I agree with the one part where like the energy from your body is just like used for other organisms, but what I don't agree with is the consciousness part solely because the population is increasing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where are they coming from?
Flies. I don't know. Extinct animals.
Millions of flies.
Exactly.
Dude, imagine. So you're saying, so if we're going by that like logic, and anything can reincarnate as anything, does that mean that at one point we could all just become flies?
It's more likely than not you're gonna just be reincarnated as like some worker ant or something. You know, some blind fish that lives like 100,000 years.
I mean, this, I don't know this religion front to back, but I believe with Buddhism, isn't it? You basically just keep getting reincarnated until you finally hit that enlightenment period, and then you're good.
Yeah, until you sit under the tree for long enough and realize what's up.
Yeah, like how many bad breaks can you get? Like flies have like what, like a week-long lifespan? How many times can you get reincarnated as that? And you're
Okay, but like
"Dude."
how bad could you possibly fuck up in like a week that it's like, nope, do it again?
Yep, they're like, "No,
Like
you
how
don't-
many cardinal
didn't learn
sins do
shit."
flies commit like every day?
I mean, they throw up on food and then eat it, so that alone.
I guess that's gluttony or something.
Yeah, right? They can't get enough.
So for a Buddhist, is like the ultimate hell being like one of those like jellyfish that like on paper can like never die?
Oh, absolutely. That is their punishment, I'll bet.
Like at the bottom of like it's just like the Marianas Trench is just like full of like all the Buddhists who disobeyed and are now just like eating like whale bones and just like can never die because their cells are so efficient.
They're in the abyss zone screaming it like whales, like, kill me!
Yeah, and the whales are too scared because they know their fate. They too will be reincarnated as a jellyfish if they disobey.
I think we found the new Buddhist hell.
Wow.
Jellyfish.
That's I can't believe it. Okay, speaking of revelations, let's move on to our next topic. I think that's the longest we've ever spent on a topic, which is good because that means it was a good one. So this is for everybody. What former US president that is currently alive do you think will die first? Now there's an obvious answer, and so forgive me but for stealing it, but I really think that Bill Clinton is going to die first.
Isn't, oh my god, isn't Carter still alive?
Yes. The joke is that he was on hospice and we did the Jimmy Carter death pool last week and
Oh god.
I was gonna say that.
yeah, that's why I wanted to take the real answer of Bill Clinton. The thing about Bill Clinton is that he's already basically done everything. And by done everything, I really mean that. He's served his time. He went to Epstein Island more times than an average person goes. I think at this point he's done. I think the only reason he was still living was to see maybe if Hillary would become president, but I don't think she has any interest in running in 2024. And if she doesn't run in 2024, I don't think she'll be alive for 2028. So I think Bill Clinton is now just going to take backstage and just, quietly just like a genie in a bottle, he's going to go right back into the saxophone where he came from. Wow. You know that offhand?
No, I definitely just Googled it because I'm dumb, and I was like, what presidents are still alive?
Let's see. Which presidents are still alive? I think it's, Bush, Clinton, Carter, and then Biden, Trump, and Obama.
Yeah.
So you got a pretty good amount of options.
It might be Biden.
Yeah, honestly.
You know what? Honestly, I think that's the Democrats' best chance of winning in 2024 is if Biden dies.
He's gonna trip. He's gonna trip over his dog, and that's it. That's all it takes.
Dude,
Wait.
that other dog should have bit him.
Wait, Milah, what is that logic? The Democrats will win if he dies?
Here's the thing. All right. The Democrats, I think, are obviously going to pick Biden as their front runner because, unfortunately, there just like isn't anybody that's really good anymore. Like all of the primary people, like they either went insane or like kind of disappeared. And it's like my front runner up till this point was like Pete Buttigieg, but then like 2 trains just derailed. Like this man is like he's not going to be alive for like he's going to disappear. He is going to go ghost because I can't imagine what kind of PR nightmare he's dealing with. So he's never going to be president. So Biden's like their only shot. And I just don't think that Biden really has what it takes unless Trump runs under a third party and splits the vote. I think they might edge out. So if Biden like dies, it's going to be like an LBJ sort of situation where they just win because everybody's thinking about him and feeling bad.
I like the logic.
Yeah, so I don't know who they'd pick. Like hopefully not Kamala, because I think even less people like her than Biden. They'd have to put up they just have to put up some random person, just like, hey, it's Steve Smith for Democrats. He's literally nobody knows anything about him, but stick with the guy you don't know than the evil you do know.
That has been their platform for the last how long?
For real. So, Mark, who do you think is the next living president to kick the bucket?
Biden.
Biden? Oh, really?
I think the Republicans will kill him.
Why is that? You think they're gonna like Nancy Pelosi him? They're gonna get somebody to attack him with a hammer?
Yeah. Have you ever seen
Biden's got to be like the most well-protected man in the world.
For now.
Yeah.
He's only got so much time left.
That's true.
But yeah, so I can't think of much. So basically my idea is people don't like him that much. Even Democrats don't like him that much. Although that might just be a generalization. I don't like him. I don't have like a problem with his ideas most of the time. I just don't
Honestly,
like him.
I literally just don't like him for like principle. I think he's actually been a really great president. He's just a figurehead. Like I don't think he is actually like comprehending anything that they're pushing under his administration. But I think what they have put across is all really good stuff. I just think we could have a better person who thinks for themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he's definitely just doing what people want.
He doesn't bring anything new to the table. Like his whole campaign was like fix COVID, and it's like, yeah, but now like we're kind of like done the fix COVID thing. Like what's your 2024 platform? It's like I really don't think he has anything. I'm pretty sure he ran 2020 as like I'm going to be the one-term president, and it's just like they're just like, well, we don't have anything else. Fuck it, you're the two-term president now.
See, okay. So I know this is a really bad reason too, but like all the videos I see of him like reaching out to shake someone's hand, but there's no one there.
It's just a video of him falling off his bike.
Yeah. it all just kind of makes me think like, okay, we tried it. Maybe it's just time for it to be over. Like,
yeah, we need a really young president.
We need somebody who actually like knows what technology really is now. Because I don't know if you've been watching that. They're mostly comedy and it's funny. And we can somehow segue this into we're all going to die if this stuff keeps up, because it's like, AI has literally made it to a point where you can listen to AI creating presidents joking about Minecraft right now.
Oh my god.
I love those.
That is the only reason that AI is good. Like I will submit to the overlords if they just like keep supplying me with these funny videos.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's great. And for us, it's great. But then you show somebody who doesn't understand AI, the president talking about like smoking a shitload of weed, and they're like, unbelievable. And next thing you know,
I can't believe he would say this in the Oval Office too. SMH.
Yep. And then you're like, but mom, technology, and they're like, nope, unbelievable. I do not believe it. It's a lie. I don't double check my sources. The end. And that's why
it is kind of scary. Like we haven't really thought about it, but like 2024, like it's going to be impossible to tell what is actually true. Because like right now they're using it for like like Donald Trump. I know you stole my diamonds, but like in like 8 months, it's gonna be a video of Biden that's like, yes, like behind closed doors. Yeah, I probably would cut all Medicare and like make abortion illegal. It's like they're just gonna make shit up, and like you have no idea if it's gonna be true or not, just because you can't trust anything.
And these guys are too old. I'm sorry, men and women, but mostly men are too old to even do the research on that stuff, and they're too busy trying to distract us with the fact that like being trans is an issue, and it's not. It's literally not a problem. And
it's like more people are mad about trans people than there are trans people.
Yeah. And then it's like, even to boil it back, take it out a little bit more out of focus is like the M&M stuff. They're upset about M&Ms, really? And it's like...
Okay, but no, like, the sexier the M&M, the better it tastes, okay? You gotta understand!
Exactly. And like being trans is like, it's... Trans people just don't want to be beat to death. That would be nice. Who gives
Okay,
a fuck
come
what
on. That's a
color the
little bit of a
M&Ms?
far reach. Come on. That's
Yeah, but, like,
that's what
compared
America
to
was built on.
M&Ms, Yeah, right? Exactly. Like, it's different, kill it. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's not. Like, how about we just, like, treat people like normal people? And that's upset. Apparently, that's it. That's where we draw the line. You can't do that because, God forbid. And then they vote for somebody who will tax the shit out of them and doesn't understand that, like, AI is going to take over everything they've ever said, and they won't understand why their polling numbers are going up and down.
Yeah, oh man, if only Andrew Yang still existed and wasn't insane. So, with that in mind, who do you think is the next president that's gonna die?
Honestly, I want just to be contradictory with it. I think off-speed pitch is George W. Bush. I don't know
Ooh.
why. I'm just like I feel it. Like he basically is like, well, I fucked this shit up, and then he's just gonna die before he has to see the actual ramifications.
yeah, like right before like the Iraq war is done, he's gonna.
Yep. They're like, well, we got everyone out, and he's like, perfect, the end, and then he just quits. Just alt F4s.
That's probably the only thing keeping him alive at this point. Is just the blood of the innocent Iraqi citizens.
Yeah. Saddam Hussein was like, hey guys, thanks a lot. Wait, why are all these tanks here? And then that's the end.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Iraqi citizens, I want to transition into our next topic. Is what is the best way to die?
Ooh, I like that. That's a good
Mark, I
question.
want to start you off on this one. I think you'll have an interesting answer.
So, okay, it's going to be something that has to do with like some prolonged physical problem. So I feel like getting crushed by something and like very slowly
Okay, follow-up
suffocating would
question.
suck.
Do you have autism?
No.
Because
What?
that was
How does that relate?
Well, because that was Temple Grandin's solution to like leading cows to the slaughter. She built that hug machine because like it made her
What?
feel comfortable.
Oh my god.
So you're saying I'm going to build myself one of those autism machines
One
so
of
I
those
feel
hug
better,
machines,
and then it's just
so
going
you
to
feel
kill
better
me.
when you die. Yeah, I mean, why not? Use your. Oh my god, that's your next video. 16-year-old explains the hug machine that's going to crush you to death. Either or, honestly. Okay, so tell us about why getting crushed would be really fun.
Fun? All right.
Preferable.
Are we saying best or worst way to die?
This is the best way to die, so preferable.
Oh, wait, this is the best way to die?
Yes, that's what
Oh,
I
I
said.
misheard you. I think you said the worst.
Oh, okay. Well, then give us a reroll for odds. What's your new answer?
For the best now?
Yeah, for the best.
Oh, something like instant. So, like, imagine something falls on you and your head just gets crushed. Like, you're asleep and then all of a sudden there's just nothing.
So like random chance?
Yeah.
Like an air conditioner falls out of the...
Yeah, you're sleeping in your bed. I mean, air conditioners aren't in attics. But say they were, and say one of them fell through your ceiling and just crushed your head. You never felt a thing.
Okay. Well, maybe it was in storage, so yeah.
Isn't there
Alright.
still like that brief second right before your brain gets crushed that you feel something though?
Do you have time to process it in that amount of time?
I won't know. Well, that's the thing. If you fade away into nothing, yeah, then no.
Yeah, if any of our listeners happen to die between this week and next week's episode, make sure to call in and tell us how it is.
Yeah, we gotta know.
Let us know if you
who
yeah,
wins.
let us know if you can experience that. If you felt that, like 1 second.
Okay, head crushed. All right, or instant
Alright.
rather, instant death.
Instant head
Yeah.
crush. So, is it air conditioner? Is that what you want specifically, or can it be anything?
Whatever. As long as it's instant.
All right. Okay, interesting. Charles, what do you think is the best way to die?
Best way to die? I think it would be interesting. Well, I did find out after reading a book about this human euthanasia thing. Apparently, one of the best ways to die is the guy actually sells like little kits. That you like put a bag around your head, I think it is, and it's nitrogen, and you put the nitrogen in there, and you breathe it till you fall asleep, and then you just actively suffocate because there's no more oxygen, and so you die a very peaceful death. You go to sleep. That's apparently
Yes.
one of the easiest ways.
Speaking of those kits, I forget where it is, but did you hear about like it was making the rounds in the news a couple of months ago? It was like they made like suicide pods that were basically the exact same thing, except like your whole body goes inside of it. I think it was. I don't want to say Greenland because I feel like that's too on the nose, but let's see, where was it?
Probably Norway or something. They're very
Yes.
big on this stuff.
They're advanced.
I searched suicide pods. The first thing that comes up is a suicide hotline.
Not gonna lie, it almost came up when I saw your categories for things to talk about, and one of them was should we kill ourselves? And I was like, oh Jesus.
Oh, well, that's gonna be the. And every time anybody brings it up, I'm just gonna like awkwardly change the subject. So it's just gonna it's gonna people are just gonna have to speculate what happened. All right, well maybe it was in Switzerland because that's what's coming up in the related searches. So
that tracks. Honestly, Switzerland I think is one of the other places where it's totally legal.
All right, so nitrogen suffocation is your answer.
Yeah, we'll say that. Or apparently drowning's supposed to be great because you seize out and it's supposed to like make you feel great or something. But
oh man, but, like, I'm so scared. Like wait, even when I'm not dying of drowning, I'm scared. Like that like you ever in like an inner tube and you like get it in that weird angle where it's like you keep trying to push up but it keeps pushing down on you and it's just like every time you come up for air pushing you right back down.
Yep.
Like
or like
that. I feel like that.
Water.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually that's the closest I've ever been to death, and it was really scary. I don't think I'd ever want to drown. Yeah, but so when I'm thinking of the best way to die, I wouldn't pick something as boring as getting your head crushed or putting your head in a plastic bag and waiting around for a little bit. I think the best way to die is actually the firing squad. I think execution by firing squad is probably the most satisfactory death because it feels like the ultimate culmination. Like everything you've ever done in your life has led up to this moment, which I feel like really like the last thing you do should be the climax. You're going to want to peak as late as possible so you don't have to live in that, post peak haze where it's just kind of lame. I feel like if I were to be like lined up in front of 5 people and shot right now, that would probably be like the coolest thing that's happened to me. And that's what somebody's gonna write like an old like Western style like ballad about it, and that'll be cool. But if I get crushed by an air conditioner, that's just like I'm just gonna get a page in the yearbook. Nothing interesting.
I'd like to bring up A Train.
All right.
So have either of you watched The Boys?
Yes.
No.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic show. I love it.
Not as good as Squid Game.
Milah, have you watched it? I don't think you have.
I haven't watched Squid Game or The Boys.
You should watch The Boys. It's awesome.
Boys great.
I'm watching Seinfeld right now. Maybe later.
Very different change. Like that's a huge change of pace. So basically, in the very first episode, spoilers by the way, there's this really fast guy. He's basically like this universe's equivalent to the Flash.
Whoa. And
he runs through someone's girlfriend. Now, she died instantly. But her blood was also splattered across her boyfriend and the street. Is that good or bad?
That is bad.
Why?
Because it's gross.
For her, though, is that good or bad?
Okay, but imagine her boyfriend's last time of her alive. His last memory of her is getting splattered with her.
His last memory is actually holding her detached hands as he yells, "Robin, Robin!"
Okay, that's even worse.
Yeah.
See, that's mortifying. Like that's no amount of therapy's gonna fix that.
Okay, but not for him, for her.
For her, she's gonna feel terrible that her boyfriend is traumatized.
She doesn't feel.
Yeah, she's dead.
Okay, but
her
ghost.
know she's dead.
Think about it. Think about her ghost. Why wouldn't you consider the ethical standards of a ghost, Mark?
I wonder if there is a hero in that universe that can like resurrect dead people. Like not even
Jesus.
not to
Jesus
bring them
Christ.
back, just to talk to them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Well, how about what was it? Did you get to the Ant-Man style death yet? Without going intensely.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I think that's the worst way to go. Right there. That's the worst way.
Oh, I'm thinking about that in a bit too much detail.
Yeah.
All right, well, you guys are jumping the gun a little bit because our next topic is actually what is the worst way to die.
Oh, it might be that one.
Yeah, I like in real life, my fear is being buried alive. I just hijacked it and said I'm going first, but my fear would be buried alive. But fictional, it would definitely be a tiny man shrinking into your, genitalia,
Yeah.
and then coming
Sneezing.
back to full size because he sneezed,
Yeah.
effectively
And that killed
splitting
him?
you in half.
Yeah, it
Yep.
killed him. He just
Oh my God.
exploded.
Speaking of splitting in half, have either of you guys ever seen the movie Terrifier?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
When that girl gets cut in half?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty terrible way to die.
Oh yeah. Especially, she was upside down, right?
Yeah, so all
Yes.
the blood goes right to your head.
Yep, that's even worse.
Oh man, I hate it just enough being upside down. I can't imagine if I was being cut in half too.
Yep. Did you see the
Yikes.
Did you see the second one?
Yeah, I did.
I thought it would be worse, to be honest.
I like the reincarnation. I like how they took a Buddhist aspect to it too. It's just
Yeah, like what the hell?
they say the movie industry, they say Hollywood is full of Jews, but as far as I can see, it seems like it's full of Buddhists.
Yeah, that was Buddhist as hell.
All this Buddhist propaganda. It's just, I don't know. Maybe they're right. It's nice to see a diversification of viewpoints. Maybe when you die, your head really does come out of the last person that you mauled. It's possible.
The most confusing movie of my life. Like, I still love it. Like, I think
that's what made it so great.
What sucks about that movie too is I bet you the mom, right, came into the director and was like, I have these amazing ideas for like this great tortured mother who's overworked and has these things, and they're like, no, your only character is you scream all the time. Like, what do you think character development happens here? No, you scream. The end.
Apparently when that movie came out, like, it was so bad, like, people were like passing out and like throwing up in theaters. I don't fault them.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah, it was like, especially all the squelching noises and them, like, but still, I don't know. I thought it would be like way worse. I thought I was gonna pass out, but nope, nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like every time it got gross, it just like, I just kept thinking like, like this just doesn't, this is just so crazy. Like it's kind of hard to like keep it just kind of hard to suspend your disbelief when it's like she's dreaming and like, like a clown's like killing all of the characters in like a cereal commercial.
Yeah, that's right. It was just, honestly, it went past that and just made it funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just pure absurdity. All right, Mark, we're not gonna keep boring you with a movie you haven't seen. So I think the worst way to die, and you know what? This may be a little bit controversial, but I think that the worst way to die is peacefully in your sleep. For a similar reason that I think that firing squad is the best way to die. I think peacefully in your sleep is just boring, If I'm gonna die, I want it to be at least something interesting. And I want to know that I'm gonna die. I feel like to just randomly drop dead it's even scarier. Like if they say, would you rather know when you're gonna die or how you're gonna die? I'd much rather know when. Because if I knew how, I'd be like terrified of like if they said you're gonna die in your sleep, I'd be mortified. I'd be like, I'm never going to sleep ever again. Because every time I go to sleep, it just might be it. I might go to sleep and I never wake up. There's so many things I want to do in the future, and it's gone. I every night I fall asleep in fear that I won't wake up the next day, because dying in your sleep, they always tout it like this is the way, this is the American dream way to die, but it's not. It's terrible. It's the worst one. The real American dream way to die is getting melted in a steel pit.
Yeah, because you work too many working too much overtime for the pay and stuff. That's what.
Yeah, it's true. In 1943, 70% of all steel was like 40% human bones. It's crazy.
Good Lord.
Yikes.
I made that up, but the fact that you believed it, that really says something about society.
Yeah, that's true. That's the follow-up bonus question. What's the most American way to die?
Well, the most American way to die is clocking out beforehand.
And covering your shift.
Yeah, you gotta get someone to cover your shift before you die. Make sure all your debts are paid too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but speaking of America and death, I think it's only fair to ask another question. When do you think you will die? And as a bonus, how? So go around the horn. I guess I'll start. I think I will probably die by the end of this month. And why? Because I am making too many stupid YouTube videos that are... They're not long, but they're they're bringing my brain just so much tremor. And to everybody who's I gain like the amount of grains of sand that come through an hourglass. That's about what I get from per episode of stuff I release every day. I thank all of you. If any of you are watched a video of somebody talking about an old NES game, it was like, whoa, what happens after you die? I guess I need to find that out too, because this really is a Swiss Army knife YouTube channel. But I made like 20 of them in a day because I wouldn't say they're easy. I would just say I have nothing else going on, and I'm trying to make enough that I don't need to make any more for the rest of the year this month, and it's starting to wear on me a little bit. So I think it might kill me. I think just one more of these Japanese NES games, I literally don't even understand what's happening in them. I think if I played just like a couple more of those, I think that might be it for me.
Well, that's insane.
Yep, the things I do for the grind, because
Oh, yeah.
I initially, if I was, I made a couple of fun videos, and I took the average, and it was like, well, if I make a video every 2 days for the rest of the year, I'll have reach monetization status by then. But then, unfortunately, the YouTube decided that it's fun to play with people's emotions, give me some diminishing return. So all of a sudden they decided to take what used to be a stream and turn it into a trickle. So now instead of uploading a video every 2 days, I've got a video coming out every day, and I have them scheduled up until basically the end of the month. That's how many I've made so far, and it's it's not a walk in the park. I can see why YouTubers why when kids say they want to be a YouTuber, they usually don't.
Yeah, you have to supplement that with another medium somehow. Start TikToking until the government bans it.
No, that's exactly what it is, because it turns out you can't just upload one video a week and expect you to stay within the zeitgeist. I mean, I tried that, and then all of a sudden, what's it like to be black in India? Just nobody was watching that video anymore, and as a result, they're not watching my video anymore. It's devastating. So, Mark, when do you think you're going to die, and how?
I hope I live a long and fulfilling life. So, like, 86.
86?
I pulled that number out of my ass, but here we are.
All right, and what do you think will kill you at 86?
Heart failure.
Heart failure, really?
Yeah.
You don't think that we're going to have, like, artificial hearts by then that are even better than human hearts?
I wouldn't put one in myself.
Really? So you're not going to become a cyborg?
Yeah, see, this is like some, like, Cyberpunk 2077 shit. And
bugs?
But like the idea is that like people like modify themselves and like make themselves better. I'll never, even if that is an option by then, I'll never do it.
Man, did you watch that one episode of Futurama where Hermes gets all those upgrades and realize it's just not worth it?
I've never watched an episode of Futurama. Blech, I can't speak.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Pretty sure that was that show. It's on what is it? Netflix. Altered Carbon. They basically figure out immortality, but then a bunch of people are like, "Nah, dude, I don't want that," and then they get taken out of the system, so they die, and they're just dead. Everyone else gets backed up to other bodies.
Well, that's actually a really good bonus question. Just not on the topics list, but if you could live forever, if you could avoid death, would you?
No.
Why?
Well, question: can I at any point just say I'm done?
No. This is I'm making the executive decision. This is
permanent.
Just don't die. Either you die when you die, or you never die.
I feel like as long as there's other people around, is this like a stupid like snail scenario where everyone else is dead at some point?
This is provided that the universe doesn't end and you will have infinite
people to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I continue to age?
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, you age, but so nominally slow that it's imperceptible.
Okay. So yeah, I think I would take it then. I think I could find entertainment in finding and trying new things and meeting new people, just forever pursuit of knowledge type stuff.
All right, yeah, Charles, what do you think about that? Would you if you could live forever, would you?
I think I would, and less about the reason to live forever, but more about amassing that level of knowledge over time.
Yeah, it would be wild.
What you could do to people, not do to people, but how you could help people,
right,
in such a simple way, and it just blow people's minds. Or you could totally take advantage of the system and just become their god, like in Dune, where you're just a worm god.
Yeah, no, the only counterpoint I've ever heard that I actually kind of like for immortality is the idea that with time is the only real motivator, which I kind of understand on a basic idea that I in theory, like most of my decisions are motivated by time. I do most of the stuff that I do because I have only 24 hours in the day, and something needs to happen by the next day. But I get that like there would be no consequences because a life sentence wouldn't mean anything, and minor infractions, like if you lose your job, like now, if you get in trouble at school, it's a big deal. But 8,000 years from now, it's just not going to matter, and you're going to be fine, and everybody who ever knew about that just is going to be dead. But I think if you were to live forever, at a certain point in time, your mindset would change. Because I don't think that the reason humans are wired like this is necessarily based out of time. I think you still have a drive to do stuff, and I like when people like retire and stuff, they still like want to do stuff, and when they don't, they get sad and depressed and stuff. I don't think they're combined. I think they're discordant, and they just are similar. I think that you probably would eventually figure out what to do. I don't know if it would be instantaneous. I would probably live forever because I'm scared of death. But I'd probably figure out something to do. So, Charles, when do you think you will die, and what do you think will be the cause?
I have this feeling because I feel like I had a dream about it. I die around 40 in a car crash.
All right, how old are you right now?
30, so I got 10 years.
All right, you got 10 years, buddy. Better make them count.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue, especially because I feel like that's one of the last topics we got, actually. But I think that segues into whatever the dream I had when I died. All I know is that, like, I was looking at it from the outside, and I was like, yeah, I'm good with that. And then I, like, stepped into an elevator of light and saw how I lived. And, of course, that's the part I woke up on. The part that would be the most exciting is the part I woke up. So whatever it was, though, I was blown away. So life's been fascinating and interesting, and it definitely hasn't been fun all the time.
Wow, imagine that. Your alarm cucked you out of the universal truth.
Yep, it's an elevator of light. You know it's gonna be good, and then it opened up, and all it was bright white, and I heard myself go, "Wow!" And then I woke up. Like, who? Come on.
Wow, can you believe it? And as the camera pans over, you wake up.
Yeah, it's like getting to look at your face while you see amazing things, and you have no idea what the amazing things are, but at least you know how you reacted.
Yeah, at least it is cool. So that would be the last topic, but unfortunately we need to fight to stay relevant, so we always need to have at least one topic that talks about what's currently going on. This is obviously, I didn't really think this one through very well, because it's not something that three people could argue, but I think this one can just be more of a discussion, because it's really just to put it in the keywords so people, when they search it up, this will come up too. The question for the panel, I don't know if any of you have been paying attention to the news recently, but Fox News is in a little bit of hot water for entertaining certain notions about interference within the most recent presidential election. So my question to the board is, should Fox News be held liable for lying about the 2020 presidential election? Mark, what do you think?
I think they should.
Oh yeah? And why is that?
I mean, anyone else would be held accountable. Why shouldn't they?
Who else has ever been held accountable for lying?
No one, because no one's that stupid. Are you kidding me? CNN telling lies? No way.
Come on. That's crazy. No, CNN doesn't tell lies. They just tell really trivial information about Trump. It's insane. I can't believe it. It's like the Trump derangement syndrome is real. Like the YouTube news, like whatever section is like 90% like, Trump woke up today. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, no, I my answer is based off of that. My official answer to should Fox News be held liable for lying about the 2020 presidential election is no. All broadcasted news is inherently a farce and shouldn't be believed in the first place. Because I think if you ever seen the show Raising Hope, there's this character who was played by Cloris Leachman, dearly departed. May she rest in peace. Hopefully she knows what it's like to be dead. Where she's coming up with ideas for things that already exist. She's inventing like the toaster, but like she's old, so she doesn't realize they already exist. And she says like, what if there was a channel on this television that told people what was going on? And then she was like, wait, no. Because then, in order to fulfill a 24-hour cycle, they'd have to start sensationalizing things that don't matter. And it's so true. The thing about the news is that if something interesting rarely ever happens. Like, what do you think is, like, the last, like, event that needed to be, like, televised? What's the last big event people needed to know about?
California getting drowned.
Did that like? And the funny thing is, like, the news is so like full of just like shit. I don't even know about that.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
it's such like a muddle of like like every day, like some random thing that's like Donald Trump could be going to jail. It's like he's not going to jail, and like there's something else I could be looking at, but instead I'm not, because there's only so many things I'm gonna scroll through in the news before I just quit out and don't learn the secret truth. There could be something that is gonna change my life, and I'll just never see it because they had to write 16 articles about some senator not being there. Like, okay, like I'm not even in the Senate floor. Like, why do I care if somebody else isn't?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
space.
it's about as depressing as you can get with news. Yeah.
So Charles, where do you fall on this? Do you think that there should be a certain precedent that they should be held standard to, or do you think we should just do away with the whole system as is?
Well, actually, there's a lot. This is a multifaceted answer here. First of all, I think yes, but the likelihood of it making a difference is so low that it's almost like there's no point. Because one of the people who actually wants to hop on this show as soon as possible,
We'll
was
get him on next
always
week.
he says it as a joke, but it cracks me up. But it is very true. Is you're only canceled if you want to be, and
I agree with that. I think
And
there's certain ways that you just go too far. Like if you sex traffic girls and then go to jail, that kind of.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely certain hard lines, but short of that, basically Fox News could go, "Oh yeah, we absolutely did that, and we did it for ratings, and you can go F yourself. I don't care about any of what you guys are saying." And all of those people that they've been lying to will hear that and still go, "Yep, this is a credible news source." They will not care. It will not make a difference because as long as they say like "screw you" to the liberals, that's all that makes a difference. So yes, they should, but the likelihood is it won't make a difference.
I just like the thing is like I feel kind of bad for Fox News because they didn't even do like the worst of it. Like they like lost their thunder during the 2020 election because they were even semi-grounded. Like they called the election for Biden, and like OAN and like Newsmax, like that's when they got their thing. And it's like it's just like the thing about like these right-wing audiences is that they're increasingly getting more radical, but the problem with that is that like the more like first it used to be like left, center, right, and then Nazis, but like as they continuously like radicalize the right, it gets further from the center and closer to the Nazi thing. And a lot of people are really uncomfortable with like either platforming Nazis or being around them. And there are a couple of like common sense Republicans that know when to stop. But the problem is that's not all of them. And it's like a tornado. It just keeps moving further and further to people who are just completely unreasonable and have like no understanding for anything. And it's like Fox News lost that. Like all of the core diehard fans went to like Newsmax, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know if what I would consider like if it's fair to take Newsmax off of the professional channels or whatever. But they have YouTube Kids for a reason. I think they might as well have TV Old People for the same reason because they're kind of falling for the same tricks.
Yeah.
Like a 6-year-old is watching like top 15 craziest things that have washed ashore on beaches, and old people are watching like top 10 craziest new pronouns that the liberals are forcing you to use in schools.
I mean, that's basically the Baby Shark, but for old people.
Yeah, Baby Shark for old people is just like they're putting litter boxes in schools, dude. I've been off and on considering actually just putting a litter box in one of the school bathrooms because I know it would just be like the amount of coverage. It would be insane. Like the thing is, I know that would be marching to my own death. Like I'd basically be like, I would be firing squatted the next day by everyone, but it would be really funny for a very short period of time.
If you know any struggling businesses that you want to keep open, I guarantee you if you put a litter box in there, the liberals will flock to it. Or if you put up a sign that says, "We don't take no litter boxes in here," the conservatives will flock to it.
Oh, I should do both. I should put a litter box and then deface my own litter box.
Exactly. That's like the dude from the Proud Boys who ended up being an FBI informant anyway, I think.
Yeah, but, or like every episode of It's Always Sunny.
Oh my god, exactly. Yeah, you got to play both sides. That's all that matters. You make money and it doesn't matter. And that's, I think, on a side note about news in general too. I think it's like my favorite thing is either side, because I know Cartoon Network, good lord, Comedy Central, does the same thing where they interview people at Trump rallies, and I get it.
Oh man,
it's
those are
supposed to
hilarious.
be-
You ever see that the Eric Andre video where he's like, is he
Oh,
talking
yeah.
to Alex Jones? He's like, Alex Jones, I want you to fuck my wife.
Yep, yeah, exactly. And like that stuff is great and it is funny and I understand what it's for. But what sucks about it though too is also what happens with stuff like that, because that's what I went to school for. I went to school for media studies and stuff. You interview like 40 people and then you pick the 5 interviews that fit the most to the narrative you're trying to sell. And CNN and Fox News both do that. So they could be interviewing the most liberal person who's actually well-rounded and knowledgeable, and they'd agree with, and they're like, we're not doing that take. We're gonna do this guy who has no clue what he's talking about. And
Yeah, that's the worst part about it, because it doesn't make for good entertainment. But I think a lot of people would really appreciate this. I was talking to my aunt about this, this was like a year ago. She was like, "What if they did To Catch a Predator, but they just did like all the outtakes where like they meet up in a chat room and the kid's like, 'I'm 13 by the way,' and the other person's like, 'Oh, okay, I'm out.'" You know, like if it was just like maybe not even its own show, just like at the end of the episode, like they're like, for every predator, here's like 5 or so people that like, when they found out how old this person was, they left. They were like, all right,
Yep.
I'm not trying to catch a case. Goodbye, kid.
yeah, like why are you even on here? And they get off and they're like, well, that was responsible. Cut him out.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just, it is all about trying to just because it doesn't make for good news, but I think it would just be helpful if they just did that. If they it's more interesting to be like, not a single person here knew that dihydrogen monoxide was water, and that's crazy. But I'm sure there's a couple people, because they always do that. Like I always see those like interviews where it's like, what country is America in? And they're like, Mexico. It's like there's got to be at least one person who got that right?
Yeah, exactly. And they take one and they go, look at how screwed we are. And it's like, time out.
Yeah, like America's so dumb because like this one person, didn't know where the Empire State Building was. They said it was, in California. It's like, it's not even a bad guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. I love it. I love it because you just look at it and it just cracks you up, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait till more
Well,
AI comes in and we have old people who just don't get it, and it's just going to get better and better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sure is the death of the modern media. I can't wait to see what comes next. That is all the topics I've got on this list, so I think that means that we've run out of things to say. I think this has actually been the longest episode because we had the most interesting topics and the most things to say about them. So congratulations, everybody, for being able to stick with us this long. Charles, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, actually, I just want to say thank you for having me. It has been an honor, and it was a ton of fun.
Of course, anytime.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what do you want to plug? What are you working on right now?
Dad joke pillow.
Dad joke pillow. Now, do you want to elaborate, or do you want it to leave it at that?
So basically, it's a pillow, and it whispers dad jokes directly into your ear, and the idea is that it creeps you out enough that you have to jump out of bed.
Okay, so is this a YouTube video you're working on, or like a product you intend to sell?
You know what? Both.
All right, I like it. And what do I want to plug? What you're listening to right now. Listen to all the other episodes, listen to the future episodes, and listen to anything else I make, because it's all going to be good. It's probably going to be more scripted, so it'll be maybe even more concentratedly funny. That's all I can think of for saying this. The intros are really long, so let's make the outros short. This has been What Have I Done Debates, episode 9. So that means that episode 10's coming out next week, which means that there's a new bonus episode that will be out soon. We still need to figure out what we're going to do for that. I think we've got at least a semblance of an idea, but nothing that's enough to make a whole thing off of. So tune in for that. It'll be interesting. Keep watching all these short videos that I'm making, because it's the only thing keeping my channel afloat in the off time when I'm not constantly appeasing the algorithm. Okay, that's it. On the count of 3, we're all gonna say goodbye, and hopefully we're gonna get it right this time, because I feel like every time, Mark, maybe you should do the countdown, because I feel like you're always a little bit late to it.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, bye.
Goodbye!
Goodbye.